Well, good evening and welcome back to Rainbow Investing, where we examine a spectrum of ideas to increase your long-term wealth. Now tonight we're going to do a video looking at AfterPay, everyone's favorite payment provider. So we're going to go through how AfterPay works, why AfterPay might not be as good as you think it is, the implications of using AfterPay excessively, and make sure you stick around to the end because right at the end I'm going to reveal why AfterPay might be good to use to buy some things. So make sure you stick around. If you haven't already, you might want to hit the subscribe button. We do videos on personal finance and investing, so if that sounds like your kind of thing, make sure you hit the button. And if you find this video useful or you just find it interesting, make sure you leave a like on it because it really helps me out. Okay, so if you haven't heard of AfterPay, you probably will soon. It is an extremely popular, quite recent service that has taken Australia by storm, and it's now expanding overseas at a very, very rapid rate. AfterPay shares have doubled in the last 6 months, so that gives you some idea of how well they're going. A lot of investors particularly like AfterPay shares because they have a tendency to keep making new record highs. But is this too good to be true? Let's have a look. So AfterPay, if you didn't already know, is a buy now, pay later service, or BNPL for short. So how AfterPay works is that if a store offers AfterPay, you can go in and buy a product on AfterPay. Say it's $100 pair of jeans. You might pay $25 at the counter. The retailer gets $100 from AfterPay. You now owe AfterPay $75, in which you can pay off in installments. Unsurprisingly, a lot of people love AfterPay. They love the feeling of buying something now and paying for it afterwards. I mean, can you blame them? It sounds pretty good on paper. There are a couple of rival services to AfterPay you might have heard of. ZipPay is one of them. These products offer a very similar structure to AfterPay. They are all basically BNPL services, but AfterPay is the biggest one. It is the one that's expanded the most, and so that's what we're looking at tonight. So the first thing I want to talk about is AfterPay Credit. Now, AfterPay got into a bit of trouble with this last year because the government certainly thought this question was worth looking at. The government actually ran a Senate inquiry into AfterPay and other services like it, other BNPL services. And after a lot of deliberation, they actually decided it wasn't the same as credit. And this is because AfterPay doesn't charge its users interest. When you get a credit card and you use it to buy something, you of course don't have to put the money up front, but you have to pay back the bank within a certain time period, or the bank will start charging you interest. And the way interest works is that, say you bought that $100 pair of jeans with a credit card and the interest rate is 20%, which is quite common. If you left that $100 on the credit card, that $100 will then become $120 because it's 20%. And then after that, it will become $145. So the interest compounds on itself. And if you leave it alone long enough, the debt will become far bigger than the actual purchase was in the first place. AfterPay doesn't work like that. If you don't pay AfterPay back, you do not pay interest. You will pay late fees. And if you do it often enough, AfterPay might bar you from using its service or reduce your credit level, the amount that you can use AfterPay to buy. But AfterPay does not charge interest. And this is how they were able to escape being regulated more stringently from that Senate inquiry. But, and this is a big but, AfterPay still provides a pay later service. And this is very important because a lot of people don't realize this, but the way your mind works can sometimes play tricks on you with this kind of thing. The reason why credit cards are so popular is because even though you don't have extra money, the credit card makes you feel like you have extra money. And so you're more inclined to spend more than you actually would under normal circumstances because you feel richer, even though you aren't actually richer. AfterPay can work in a very similar way. If you feel like you only have to pay a quarter of an upfront purchase, you're actually going to feel richer and you're going to be more inclined to buy more clothes or more objects or more goods than you ordinarily would if AfterPay was unavailable. That is why AfterPay is a very dangerous product to use if you don't understand this concept and don't use it properly. There's hidden psychological complications with using a buy now, pay later service like AfterPay, and you have to be very aware of these before you sign up because you might find that you put yourself into more debt than you normally would otherwise. Because you might start using it very slowly just for like one t-shirt or one pair of jeans, But then as you get used to it, your brain plays tricks on you. The desire to use it grows more and more because you're feeling richer, because you're buying more things with seemingly less money. And this can carry on to the point where every time you get paid, most of your paycheck goes into clearing Afterpay debt. I've met people where this is the case, where they have more Afterpay debt than they know what to do with, and Afterpay actually starts banning them from continually using it until they pay off the debt. It is not a situation you want to be in. It's not as bad as credit card debt, but it's still debt, and it's still debt that you don't need and isn't doing you any favors. So think very carefully about using Afterpay if this sounds like it might be something that you may fall victim to. The next thing I want to mention about Afterpay is your credit score. If you don't already know, a credit score is a score that banks and other financial institutions keep tabs on you with. So every time you borrow money, every time you need credit of any kind, it affects your credit score. If you pay bills late, it damages your credit score. And that includes electricity bills, that includes rego bills, that includes water and electricity bills, anything like that, your phone bill even. If you don't pay it on time, it will negatively impact your credit score. If you don't pay your credit card debt back on time and you start accruing interest on it, it negatively affects your credit score. And if you use Afterpay for too many things and can't pay it back, get late fees, it damages your credit score. Now, why is this important? Because every time you go to the bank and you want a home loan or you want a personal loan, the first thing they will do is look up your credit score, and then they will give you a loan based on that. And if you're after a mortgage one day, they will look at this, and if you have a bad credit score, you will have a higher interest rate, and you may not even get a mortgage at all. The bank might view you as too risky because you've missed payments, because you've paid things back late. And this is why Afterpay is also a very important thing to keep in mind, because it can affect your credit score, and it will if you abuse the service. Okay, so Afterpay might not be sounding so crash hot, but there are still some things I think it can be useful for. And when to use Afterpay, I would say large expenses that are actually needs and not wants. So maybe you need a new fridge, maybe you need to go to the dentist, maybe you need to pay your green slip off for your car rego. Things that you might actually need for either your health, well-being, or your job, and that might require you to move money around or to put on the credit card. It's probably better off putting on Afterpay, because because things like that are a big chunk of money. It might be beneficial to pay them off in installments rather than taking out interest-bearing debt on it like you would with a credit card. That is maybe something I'll consider Afterpay being a useful product for, but only for that reason. It's things that you need and not things that you want. It's not impulse buys. It's not things like that. That's the only time I would consider using Afterpay as a valuable service. Okay guys, I hope you found this video useful. Make sure you leave a like on it if you do, and make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with some more videos about personal finance and investing soon. But for now, good night.